The quiet, autumnal peace of Caleb Monroe's agricultural equipment barn, a legally permitted, multi-generational family operation in the otherwise placid Houston enclave of Willowbrook Estates, was shattered by the high-heeled clicks of Lori Blackwell. Lori, the self-appointed queen of the local homeowners association, a woman whose pink blazer could guide aircraft and whose smile could freeze the Gulf of Mexico, had declared Caleb's barn an industrial facility incompatible with our community standards. Despite Caleb presenting all proper county permits proving his operation was legal and predated the HOA itself, Lori, with her metallic clipboard and military precision, dismissed his claims, threatening a thorough investigation and implying his business was a toxic blight on property values. Caleb, a man dedicated to his work helping local farmers, initially believed reason and documentation would prevail. He was catastrophically wrong. Lori Blackwell didn't operate on reason. She operated on an unshakable belief in her own supreme authority and a vision of Willowbrook Estates as her personal kingdom of beige mailboxes and regulation height grass. The next morning, Caleb discovered the full extent of her audacity. Lori's blood-red Porsche was parked diagonally across his driveway, completely blocking access to his barn and vital harvesting equipment. An official-looking HOA notice on the windshield declared the area under investigation, no entry authorized. Lori herself stood beside her car, a picture of smug victory, essentially declaring war on Caleb's livelihood. For 3 agonizing days, the Porsche remained a monument to petty tyranny. Caleb's phone calls went unanswered, his polite notes ignored. He was trapped, with farmers depending on him to harvest their crops before impending storms. Desperation mounted. It was his neighbor, Tom Whitman, a retired property lawyer with a keen understanding of HOA machinations, who provided crucial insight. Lori, Tom explained, had a pattern of targeting residents who didn't fit her vision of suburban perfection. A basketball hoop here, a vegetable garden there. Always picking battles she could win through intimidation. However, Caleb's situation was different. He possessed legally sound permits and commercial rights that predated the HOA. Tom surmised Lori wasn't acting out of pure malice, but from a genuine, albeit warped, belief that she was protecting the community from perceived chaos, with Caleb's barn representing the ultimate threat to her ordered utopia. Caleb's attempt at a calm, direct appeal to Lori was met with cold dismissal. "That's not my problem, Mr. Monroe," she stated, unmoved by the plight of the farmers. "The only solution is for you to relocate." She then ominously hinted at paperwork he'd find interesting. Back home, Caleb found a certified letter from Harris County Court. Lori was requesting an injunction to shut down his operation, claiming it was an illegal industrial facility posing environmental and safety hazards. The hearing was set for Monday morning, giving Caleb just 3 days to mount a defense against a meticulously prepared, albeit fraudulent, case. The weight of his family's future, his business, and the livelihoods of the farmers he served pressed down on him. The weekend was a blur of legal research, fueled by borrowed law books and Sarah's unwavering support. Caleb's 8-year-old son, Tyler, poignantly reminded him, "But you help farmers grow food. That's important." As he delved deeper, Caleb realized Lori had documented every complaint, photographed every oil stain, and twisted every fact to fit her narrative. However, Texas property law strongly protected grandfathered rights and agricultural operations. His pre-existing, fully permitted business stood on solid legal ground. Monday morning at the Harris County Courthouse was tense. Lori, flanked by her expensive lawyer, exuded confidence. When Caleb presented his case, his voice steady despite his pounding heart, he laid out his permits, environmental compliance certificates, and documentation proving his barn's establishment before the HOA's existence. He then pivoted, exposing Lori's pattern of targeting residents. Judge Richardson, a seasoned jurist, listened intently. His questioning of Lori was pointed. "Mrs. Blackwell, is it true that you've been preventing Mr. Monroe from accessing his own property?" Lori's composure began to crack as she tried to justify her actions as a legitimate safety inspection. The judge's skepticism was palpable. "Let me understand this correctly," he pressed. "You're telling me that a Porsche 911 is somehow official HOA safety equipment?" Laughter rippled through the courtroom. The judge, examining Caleb's permits, declared, "Mrs. Blackwell, you're asking this court to override legally established property rights. That's not how the law works in Texas." He denied the injunction, ordering Lori to immediately cease blocking Caleb's access, warning that further interference would result in criminal charges. Caleb's relief was short-lived. The look in Lori's eyes wasn't defeat, but a chilling mixture of rage and panic. Driving home, he found his driveway not clear, but swarming with a Lori-led protest camp. 6 vehicles, including her Porsche, now formed a barricade. About 10 people milled about with signs like "Stop Industrial Pollution" and "Save Our Children from Toxic Machinery." Lori, now sporting a bright yellow safety vest, had transformed into a community organizer, claiming a legitimate community safety action. She had even contacted Channel 11 News, framing herself as an environmental crusader. Caleb, incensed, called Tom Whitman, who explained Lori was fighting for her identity. Backing down meant losing the only power she possessed. With a hurricane-upgraded storm warning giving him less than 18 hours to harvest Jim Crawford's corn crop, Caleb felt a cold, calculated determination replace his anger. He retreated to his old, rarely used barn. Under a dusty tarp sat his 1982 International Harvester Combine, 15 tons of vintage American steel, a hobby restoration project. He spent an hour bringing the beast to life. The roar of its engine was like thunder. Climbing into the cab, Caleb engaged the transmission. The massive combine, moving at a deliberate 3 miles per hour, rumbled towards the protest camp. The effect was immediate. Protesters scattered, grabbing signs and folding chairs. Lori, however, stood her ground, defiantly positioned in front of her Porsche, her face a priceless mixture of disbelief, outrage, and a dawning fear. For the first time, she looked out of control. Caleb stopped the harvester 20 feet from the barn, shut off the engine, and calmly addressed the remaining few. He explained the emergency harvest and the court order. Lori, though visibly shaken, yelled about intimidation. Officer Davis, a veteran cop, arrived, looking taken aback by the surreal scene. A combine, a pink picnic table protest camp, and a defiant woman in a safety vest. After reviewing Caleb's court order and emergency harvest contract, Officer Davis addressed Lori. "Ma'am, do you have any legal authority to block this man's access?" Lori, her confidence waning, stammered about a legitimate community safety protest. The officer, losing patience, informed her that if she didn't move her vehicle immediately, she'd be arrested for obstruction and contempt of court. The moment Lori realized she'd pushed too far was palpable. Her face flushed. Hands shaking, she got into her Porsche. "This isn't over, Monroe," she hissed, but her threat lacked its earlier conviction. The protest camp dissolved. The next morning, Jennifer Martinez from Channel 11 News called Caleb. Her research had uncovered a disturbing pattern: 17 formal complaints against Lori for abuse of her HOA position, harassment, intimidation, selective enforcement, misuse of funds. The news story aired that evening, and the response was overwhelming. Tom Whitman called with monumental news. The HOA board had held an emergency meeting and voted unanimously to remove Lori as chairwoman. They were also issuing a formal apology to